very interesting because I find that some things seem obvious, but they aren't quite obvious, and some things seem very complicated, but they're not as complicated. And what I'm talking about basically is the simple principles of life. And I'm not saying they're easy, but I'm talking about simplicity in a sense that you think that to have great relationships, in order for someone to have great relationships, they actually would need to work on a relationship with themselves. But it doesn't necessarily seem to be a very obvious thing, you know. I think a lot of people feel to some extent that the kind of relationships that they have with people are more important than the kind of relationship that they actually invest with themselves. And I'm not saying that relationships with other people aren't important, but what I'm trying to drive home is that the most important relationships that you're going to have outside God is the relationship that starts with yourself. You have to actually be aware of how you treat yourself. You have to be aware of how you feed yourself with, what you feed yourself with, and all of that. It's exactly what we're going to be discussing today. So I'm continuing with the series of the importance of valuing yourself. I'm actually wrapping it up. So today is going to be the last two parts, this today and next week Friday. Yes, guys. Yeah, anyway, so today it's going to be the first part. I'm going to be breaking it into today and next week. I'm going to be doing this series. Of course, there's a lot of things that we can still discuss in terms of the importance of valuing yourself, but I just thought that, you know, we could move on to other things. If you guys like this topic, please let me know, and I would also really appreciate you guys suggesting some topics and some interesting things that we can discuss. I'd really appreciate it, because the truth of the matter is I actually have started this channel to open different types of conversations, but the objective of the channel is for us to actually improve ourselves, is to have a better perspective and understanding of yourself in order to actually go out into the world and have a clear sense of what is it that you have to offer. My name is Monale Akol, and if it's the first time tuning into Blank Spaces with Monale, welcome, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate your support, guys. For those who actually have been with me, all the people that have decided to subscribe to my channel, thank you. I really appreciate it. We can actually discuss today is the relationships that we have with ourselves. In order for you to value yourself, I think that it's actually very important to evaluate the kind of relationship that you have with yourself. The relationship that you have with yourself, as I said earlier, it's actually the foundation of relationships that you're going to have with other people. So if you are very impatient with yourself, there's no way you're going to be patient with any other person. If you are, it's probably a phase, or you're just sort of like scared of that person and you're trying to look good. But the truth of the matter, the core of who you are, you're probably very impatient in general with other people. The way you treat yourself, there's no way you're ever going to be in a position to give other people what you don't have, guys. So what you're made of, what makes you, when you're squeezed, it comes out. And usually the kind of relationships that you have around you, usually I would say they do reflect the kind of values and principles that you hold dear. So it's very important to evaluate how you treat yourself. There's no other way that you're going to get to a place where you're able to understand yourself in a way that you'd like to understand yourself if you haven't taken the time, an intentional decision, if you haven't taken the time to actually be like, wait a minute, like, what am I about? You know, how have I been treating myself, and how have I been of like feeding myself with things that are good for me? How have I been treating myself mentally, physically, spiritually? And once you actually have an idea, a clear idea of what you stand for, how you've been treating yourself, what is it that you do intentionally to take care of yourself? Hence I said, the funny thing about life is sometimes we think that these things come natural. Like, people talk about self-love so much, and yeah, self-love is not just putting yourself first. I mean, I think some people think self-love is putting yourself first. For me, what self-love means, it means to treat myself with love and respect. That's exactly what it means. It means that I'm going to have a conversation with myself. I'm going to have a relationship with myself. I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to forgive myself, which is, I'm going to break it down. Those are the things that I just want to be talking about today. I'm going to have a relationship with myself that will basically be the kind of relationship when I do have an understanding, a clear understanding of how I treat myself and what I'm about. I'm obviously, when I meet other people, going to understand and know how I want to be treated and how I definitely don't want to be treated. So if you haven't had those conversations with yourself, chances are when people come into your life, you more often than not, you take in what is given. You haven't set the boundaries like we have spoken about in the previous videos. So if you haven't actually checked out my previous videos, because I've been on this series for like a month, if you haven't had the opportunity, for some reason, because you're new on this channel, or perhaps you just haven't had the opportunity to check out my previous channels, please make my previous videos. Yeah. Please make sure that you check them out, and I'll also attach them at the end of this video, and you will then have a broader idea of some of the things that I'm mentioning now. But basically, setting a boundary. If you have not done certain things intentionally on your own, then when people come into your life, sometimes you use those people's standards to actually treat yourself, to actually love yourself, and to view yourself, how you are and all of those things. That's where you get into this bad pattern that most of us have been. Guys, one thing I love about growth that I'm so grateful for is growing out of some things and growing into relevant things. One of the things that I so appreciate about growth, I have to be honest, is getting to a point where you understand that time is a finite asset. Is it asset? Yeah. Time is a finite resource, and you as a person, you have a limited time on this earth to do what you need to do, meaning that you can't just spend your time anyhow, anywhere, like you have a lot of it. You have to be mindful of how you use your time. Who you spend your time with, you give your value to. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I actually want to discuss today, guys, it's cold. I hope you're keeping warm and you are also staying safe and being healthy. But I'm so glad that it looks like South Africa is actually winning against this corona fight. Thank God. I'm so grateful. So hopefully we'll be back to our normal lives very soon. 2 weeks left, guys. Let's be hopeful. Let's get into it. I would like to discuss 2 things specifically today, just 2 things. By the way, I do have a surprise for you guys next week. Yeah, so for you to see the surprise, you have to actually get to next week. Like, you have to make sure that you watch the video next week to see what kind of surprise I have. Anyway, I want to talk about being kind to yourself, the ability to choose to be nice to yourself, the ability for you to actually think about the things that you think about. You know what I mean? to just sort of like decide that, I'm not going to break myself from within. And I think sometimes is the bad pattern that some of us get into. We break ourselves from within. Have you heard that saying that says, he who conquers himself conquers the world? We do go through a lot of things in life, and sometimes we unfortunately have a tendency of taking people's opinions and thoughts and all those experiences that we've been through, and we actually wear them. We actually start to think that, you know what, maybe I'm actually like that, or maybe that is exactly who I am. Whatever the case is, it's important to decide that you're going to treat yourself with love and respect. You are intentionally going to do so. So the way you think about yourself and the way you allow things to affect you, of course we're human. I'm not saying that you're going to be a wall or anything, but how you think about what people say and the kind of people that you actually keep company, who speaks into your life, who you allow to speak into your life, it's actually very important. Those are things that you have to intentionally make a choice of. As much as I believe you choose clothes that you're gonna wear, you want to be looking good, and you're gonna be like, and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna look like this, and then I'm gonna do this and ABC and all of those things, because presentation is very important, right? Here's the thing: how you present and preserve yourself internally, it's also very important, because it shows on the outside. Not only does it show on the outside, it's just how your overall sort of like attitude would be, not only towards yourself but towards others as well. So if you get into a habit of being kind to yourself, of teaching yourself to examine the thoughts that you meditate on, if it's not something that is for you, and it's not even to say that you have to lie to yourself, but you have to be your biggest cheerleader, you're going to get to a point, or you're going to go through things sometimes where it feels like no one is there, and some things are just so personal, and maybe you can talk to other people, which is really good, but you also have to get into a space where you motivate yourself. You are your biggest cheerleader, and you believe in yourself, and you are like, you know what, even if I've been through this or that, I probably did what I knew then, and if I was to be given a chance to do it again, I would probably not make the same choices, because now I understand myself better and I know what I'm about. And growth is a process, and hence I say that I love growing up. One of those people that don't hide their ages. I just really believe that age is an opportunity to get to know myself better, and I'm grateful for that. And I don't necessarily believe that maturity comes with age. There are people who, unfortunately, very unfortunate, but they grow old, but they never get an opportunity to sit down and confront themselves. Maturity comes with every decision, intentional decision that you make, to actually be aware of your presence and how your presence also affects other people, and of course so many other things, but for the sake of this topic, I'll narrow it down to that. That's the first thing. Be kind to yourself and treat yourself and have dates with yourself. One of the things that I do to be kind to myself is to exercise. I love exercising, and it's one of those times where I know that I'm investing directly into my body in terms of my mental state and my physical state. For me, exercising, guys, it's not even about losing weight. Like, no, it's really about being healthy, and it's about me mentally, where I'm at, and all of that. The second thing that I'm going to be discussing, guys, is forgiveness. We've actually all heard forgiveness one way or the other. Everybody's like, yeah, forgiveness. Here's the thing: if you don't allow yourself to make mistakes and forgive yourself, there is no way that you're going to actually forgive other people. You're going to be so hard on yourself, and then you're going to extend it and be so hard on other people. And it's unfortunate because people make mistakes. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. People make mistakes. People are people, and you are a person. You're going to make tons of mistakes, and you don't want to be in a state where you are so harsh on yourself that you don't allow yourself to make mistakes and to grow and to take those lessons so that you can be a better person. Forgive yourself for things that you knew and things that you didn't know. Forgive yourself for being human, you know, and just doing human stuff. Forgive yourself for allowing people to treat you below how you now understand you should have been treated. Forgive yourself for allowing people that don't value themselves and bringing that into your life. Forgive yourself for hurting other people, because in as much as we want to talk about forgiveness in relation to other people, we also have had moments that we unfortunately have hurt people directly and indirectly through saying ignorant things. Because most of us, it's good when we're in a topic and you just say ignorant things about things and you don't even think how the things that you say affect other people. But if you hear someone else say the same exact things about you, you then, you know, want to reiterate, and you think, oh, but how can this person say this, or whatever the case is. However, more often than not, we actually mindlessly do it. It's unfortunate, but that's part of being human, and that's the growth process of moving from point A to point B. If you're not aware of it, you're not going to change it. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. But I believe that as we grow and we are intentional about how we treat ourselves, we're also going to be intentional about how we treat others. And people that come into our lives, we are also going to be aware of how they treat us and what they're bringing into our lives. Of course, you don't want to be surrounded by people who actually want to drag you down. It's not even what, it's like, no, if you don't have any plan about your life, unfortunately, I'm not going to accommodate you, because I don't want you to drag me in the opposite direction than the direction that I'm trying to go. For next week, tune in next week and find out what is it that I have for you. It's something that is yeah, so it's gonna be like a video, but it's not gonna be, you know, like the usual video. I think I'm gonna almost reveal it, so let me stop it right here. I hope you have a great weekend, you have a great week, and you decide to, you know, be intentional about how you treat yourself, and also nurture the relationship that you have with yourself, and be kind and forgive yourself. I also would like to hear from you guys. You know, what is it that you have intentionally? What is your routine? What is your ritual, if I want to put it that way? What is it that you intentionally do for yourself in order to nurture yourself and in order to be the better version of yourself? Because if you don't work on yourself, no one else will work on you, and unfortunately you can't go out into the world and blame people for being, you know, the way you are, when you have an opportunity to actually make a difference.